Hi, I'm Jennifer of Unset Ways Yoga and Mindful Movement. Welcome to class. So today we will take our time and we will explore each posture in this 90-minute immersion. And from head to toe, we will release held tension and breathe in relief to our body's tissues. So let's get started today in Shavasana. So we'll just find a nice relaxed position down on our mats, allowing our legs and feet to just splay out as wide as you like. Your arms at your sides, palms up. And I invite you to close your eyes so that we can turn inward to study our own selves. If that's not comfortable for you, just find a nice, gentle gaze towards the ceiling. You are welcome to bring any bolsters or pillows if you like under your knees or under your head, whatever brings you comfort in this moment. And let's go ahead and settle in and find our breath. So as you find your ease, call to mind what brought you to your mat today. And this is your intention. So as we hold stillness in the poses, our mind can often wander or want to change things if it's in slight discomfort. So what you can do in those times is to recall that intention like it's a mantra and return to your breath, remembering your intention and bringing yourself back to the present. You never have to punish yourself for thoughts coming in, they just will. But that's a nice way to calm them and, allow ourselves to deal with them later. So go ahead and keep breathing. Notice the quality of your breath. Maybe the lengths of your inhales and exhales without judgment. And I do invite you to bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, and feel how your body enables space for your breath. The expansion and retraction naturally of the lungs, ribs, diaphragm, belly. And you don't even have to try to do this, it just happens. Now, gently see if you can influence your breath just a bit. Maybe lengthen those inhales and exhales, or slow down your breathing just a bit, or try to get fuller breaths and fuller exhales. Now you're welcome to keep your hands where they are or bring them back to your sides, whichever is most comfortable for you at the moment. And let's start to notice the quality of our bodies. Where do you first notice tension or unease as you're laying there in Shavasana? Now breathe into those areas one at a time and focus on release of any gripping, holding, or tension as if you're prepared to get up and go. We want to relax, realize that this is a safe space and that we have time to take care of ourselves. I invite you to scan through your body, head to toe, and find where else can you let go of tension. Allow your body to breathe fully so every cell is focused on receiving breath and releasing tension. Take your time. We'll have some silence here to allow yourself to go through your body and really breathe and relax. And when you're ready, start to call yourself back. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. And slowly bend each of your knees, bringing your knees towards your chest and giving them a little hug if you like. Allowing them to return to the floor. We'll bring our arms into cactus or goalpost sort of shape. And slowly, at a very slow pace, go ahead and start rolling your head side to side. Just gently. And then we'll take our heads turning towards our left shoulder. And then we're going to look downwards towards our shoulder as if you're trying to touch your nose to your shoulder. You don't have to do any extreme stretch. However, if you'd like to place your hand on top of your head and assist the stretch forward towards your shoulder, you can. Just be sure to pull gently. You may feel this stretch on the back of your neck or down towards your right shoulder. This can be one of the stretches that's really great for any tech work we're doing. And gently release, allowing your head to resume the side to side, gentle movements. And then stop at the opposite side, so the right shoulder in this case. Again, trying to reach as if you're trying to touch your nose towards your shoulder. And if you like to add that right hand over the top of your head to assist the stretch, you're welcome to. Nice, deep, even breaths. And make sure that your whole shoulder girdle, head and neck are all relaxed. You may be doing a certain amount of pulling with the right hand, but we don't want to be tensing up against the stretch. You want your body to be accepting of the stretch and knowing this as a safe and comfortable space. And when you're ready, release that. Once again, resuming gentle movement side to side. And we'll stop in the center. This time we'll take our right ear towards our right shoulder. And again, if you'd like a little assist with this stretch, you can take your right hand, placing it on the left temple, reaching up over your head, and pulling down towards your right shoulder. Again, these are very micro movements, very gentle. We don't want to overstretch muscles that hold a lot of tension every day. If we overstretch, then this can cause them to retract and fight against that even harder to protect ourselves. So we want to ease into these motions. Remembering your breath to keep you relaxed. And then after your next breath, go ahead and release that stretch, gently coming back to center. Rolling your head one more time, side to side. Stopping at the center. And next we will lower the left ear towards the left shoulder. If you'd like an assist to the stretch, you can bring that left hand over, pressing on the temple. And then once you've reached that good amount of sensation of the stretch for yourself, resume that breathing, making sure it's nice and even. And then come back to center. Last time, let's roll the head side to side. Maybe now you feel a little different sensation in this movement than you did when we first started already. And let's stop at the center. And you can extend your left arm above you, straightening your left leg. And we'll roll over to our left side. And then keep rolling and adjust yourself to stay on your mat if you like, until we're on our bellies. So in this position, you're welcome to bring blocks or pillows for support to be under your head, maybe even under your chest or under your hips if that's most comfortable. We'll be resting on our bellies here. And we're going to place both arms out once again, like a cactus or goalpost shape. And then we'll take the right hand, placing that right under the right elbow. So we're going to roll ourselves into a stretch for the front of the chest, and especially on the front side of the the left shoulder in this case. So you want to move very slowly, very gently. Again, these muscles and tissues are tensed for a lot of the forward work we're doing every day. So they can be very, very on edge and very ready to perform. So we want to ease them into a more relaxed position and allow them to get the circulation they need to take up their normal resting space. So from here, we'll bend our right knee, and we're going to press with that right hand into the ground, rolling yourself slowly and gently onto that left side. You can straighten that right leg if you like, just bringing the toe back, either bent or straight, to help steady you. And you can use that right hand to either extend the stretch once you feel that sensation in your left shoulder, or back off a little bit. So you want to, end result, you want to be able to breathe nicely, evenly. If you find your breath getting quick and short, then your body's going to respond and panic and tense up against you. So finding that relaxed position where you still feel sensation, but that you can breathe easy, that's going to give the most benefit to your body. So once you've found that, go ahead and continue with that breathing. And this is one of those more triggering, so to speak, stretches. So if your mind starts to get a little antsy or starts to wander, this is where you may want to recall that intention and just relax and start back into that breathing again. Let's do just 4 more breaths here. And slowly, with control, go ahead and lower yourself back to your belly, placing both arms in cactus shape, and take a moment to breathe here, resetting. And when you're ready, take that left hand under your left shoulder. You can bend that left knee and gently, slowly roll yourself back onto your right side. Again, controlling the amount of the stretch with either lowering yourself or pushing back with your left hand and finding just the right spot of sensation. And to steady yourself, your back leg can be bent or straight, whatever you find a comfort level in terms of a kind of a stabilizer there to help you hold. And just 4 more breaths here. And gently roll yourself back to your belly. Come back to cactus arms and just allow yourself to breathe gently here. Resetting. From here, we'll take both hands under both shoulders, using them to press ourselves up into hands and knees. And we'll be doing a heart opening stretch from here. So you could bring both of your blocks in. You could also use a pillow or bolster. You could even use a chair or an ottoman that is tall enough to rest your elbows on. We'll be on our knees for a little bit, so if you don't already have a blanket on your mat, you may like to bring a little roll of a blanket under your knees. That can be very handy for sensitive knees. So find what you need to be supportive for your posture today. And then when you're ready, bring your elbows to your surface, your blocks or pillow or chair. You can have your arms out straight, or if you like, you can bend your arms, allowing your thumbs to come back towards your upper back. This will enable our chest to drip down towards the floor in the space between our knees and our support. And just let your head kind of hang in that space. You don't want to be doing any work to hold it up. Just relaxed. So this is a bit of a back bend. And if you want less of a back bend, having the arms straight can give a little relief to that as well. And in every pose, you're always welcome to close your eyes so that you can turn inward to focus on your breath or Just keeping a soft gaze ahead of you is a good meditative practice. You can breathe into the sensation of the stretching of the shoulder complex on both sides, as well as maybe feeling the extension of the spine and the back bend all the way down to the tailbone, raising up in the air. And this posture gives a nice counterbalance to, again, the forward movement we're doing all day, or more commonly when we're seated and even when we're vegging on a couch. We are rounded forward more than ever back bending. So this can help enable all of those tissues and areas to open up and stretch and allow circulation into them. Well, let's do just a couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, slowly straighten your arms and back yourself out from the posture. And then we'll come back to pushing ourselves back into child's pose for a momentary rest. You can go ahead and let your head rest on the floor or bring in a pillow if that's comfortable. Let's bring our arms back, and this will allow our shoulders to relax from all of the intensity that we've been giving them in the last few postures. When you're ready, slowly press yourself up to seated. And next we'll be doing some work to open up our hands, wrists, forearms. This will be especially helpful for anyone who has carpal tunnel or just a lot of tension in your hands and forearms. So we'll want to go easy because so much of our work, whether on a keyboard or any kind of gripping and lifting and that sort of work where we're using our hands, really gets this whole area in here so much tension build up, and it can end up squeezing in on our nerves and all the circulation, all the capillaries, veins, and everything. So that's what can give you that carpal tunnel syndrome, is cutting off that circulation because it's squeezing so hard on them. So we want to be able to open up these tissues. So we'll start with some work with our hands. Again, we'll be on our knees for a little longer, so if you need any more padding under your knees. And we're going to start with our hands. So you don't have to have them splayed super wide apart, but just maybe your fingers separated just a little bit and just hands below the shoulder level. You'll want to press into feel the mat below you on all the underside of the knuckles of all of your fingers and thumb. And feel each of your fingers on the mat as well. You don't have to be pressing hard into the mat. Just notice that you're having your weight evenly balanced on all of those areas so that you feel the tissues, the underside of those knuckles and the fingertips on the mat. And from here, we will be using our knees to kind of determine how much pressure we're rocking forward onto our hands. And this can be, maybe this is at the upright position is more than enough for you. That's totally fine. We'll just could breathe in there. And if you like, we can push forward towards our fingertips just a bit. And again, if you've gone too far, come back. If even just being upright is a little too much for you, you could put a little wedge, cinch up the blanket just a little bit so that your wrists are lifted just a little bit. That can help. And once you find that place where the sensation may feel just slightly discomfort, but not pain, we'll hold there and we're going to really work to find our even breathing and really enjoy the sensation, noticing the sensation of your whole hand touching, contacting with that mat. And just a couple more breaths here. See if you can hang in there. Slowly, slowly, slowly back yourself out to come back sitting on your heels. And just very gently go ahead and shake out your hands there. Next, we'll place the hands on the mat again, fingers just slightly apart. This time, the fingers facing back towards yourself. Try to notice all of those contact points on your mat, underneath the knuckles, at the fingertips. And then slowly sit back towards your heels again until you find that spot where you say, that's enough. And you could even back off from that a little bit. Find a spot where you can sustain this hold for just a few breaths. Again, we don't want pain. So if you're finding pain, back off, or maybe try to put a little wedge under your wrists so they're elevated just a bit. If it's too painful today, it may not be for you today, and maybe you try it again another day. Some days when we've been on our devices or working with our hands too much, the nerves and everything are too inflamed and too sensitive to accept stretching. And it's not doing us any benefit to push ourselves in that manner. With the inflammation, it's not able to accept new circulation coming in, so everything's just fighting against you. So when you find a day where there's pain, I would avoid doing that particular movement. Come back to it another time. That's why we call it a practice. We're always practicing. We always get a chance to try it again the next time. And when you're ready, let's slowly lift those hands off the floor, coming back to seated on your heels. Again, a little gentle shake out, nothing too aggressive. Be good to your hands. One last time, we're going to have our wrists facing each other, fingers playing outward, side to side. And you can have your hands maybe just a little wider than your knees, just a little wider than the shoulder width. This time we're going to rock gently side to side. This one will be a little bit more active. Again, trying to find those points of contact where the mat is hitting underneath each of your knuckles and each of your fingertips and thumb. And if you find one side where you're like, oh, let's hold there, that feels really good, go ahead and indulge that. Hold there a little longer. In all of our body, we can often have one side that needs a little more attention than the other, or just down to the fact that we move differently with each side. We often do need to look at them individually. And when you feel that you've gotten good amount of movement from there, go ahead and again slowly back off. One last shake out. And now that we've opened up those tissues a bit with the stretching, we're going to do a little bit of myofascial release. So I love this. I love how I feel after this. So what we're going to do is make sort of an X with our forearms. So we're going to lean forward just a bit, again, making sure that your posture is supported with any, you could be sitting on a block if that helps, in between your heels. We're going to place our left forearm down on the floor in kind of the one X shape. And we'll take our right arm to be the top presser. So we're going to press into the tissue, kind of roll it back and forth on that forearm until you find that you're sinking into that really meaty part of your forearm's muscle. And then you're going to sort of rock it side to side, so towards the wrist. So as if you sink into the muscle and like you're dragging it towards the wrist, just a little bit, micro movements here. And you're not actually sliding anywhere, but you're just giving it that kind of sensation. And then you can pick up and move over just like an inch or so and do the same thing. Sink into that muscle and then drag it towards the wrist. Again, you control the amount of pressure going in with your forearm. So it doesn't have to be super deep. Find the sensation that matches what you can breathe ease and evenly to. Excuse me. And just keep gently moving towards your wrist. We don't actually want to press down into the wrist proper. That's when we get away from the muscle and a lot of the sensitivity there. So you can go back to any spots that you found you may want to revisit. And when you're done with that, let's come back, give a little shake out. This time we'll have our right forearm down on the mat, holding still, and we'll use the left forearm as our tool, sinking into the belly of that muscle and dragging towards the wrist. And when you're ready, come back up to seated. Nice little shake out with the arms. Maybe you already feel some loosening up and release. And go ahead and take some intuitive movements. Maybe you want to do some wrist circles now that you have that area a little bit more open. You could just continue shaking out. Maybe squeezes with your hands. Maybe they feel a little more free. Whatever feels good to you, let's follow that just for a little bit here. Just relaxing after some intense work that we just did. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back onto laying down on our mat. You'll want to have a strap nearby. So to start, we're going to come down, hugging our knees to our chest once again. You could even give yourself a nice big hug with our loosened up arms and shoulders. And then slowly lower your knees back down. And we're going to lower the knees to one side. In this case, I'm lowering to the left. From here, we'll roll onto our left side. And you're welcome to bring in a pillow or a block if you like underneath your head, or just rest it on the floor. From here, we'll take our arm up, our right arm, arcing that around so that we're coming into a twist of our spine and upper body. And you can let your gaze follow so that you're looking towards your right shoulder. And go ahead and relax here in a nice gentle twist. Find your breath. Remember that intention that you set. And let's find some ease here. And about 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, go ahead and circle that right arm back over, returning yourself to your left side. And then let's push ourselves up to seated. We're going to bring our knees into deer pose. So to start, let's bring ourselves so that we're sitting more evenly on both of our hips. And your legs, they can just be bent into the deer pose. It doesn't need to be anything too formal. We're going to take a nice inhale, reaching up towards the sky. And then we're going to rotate, doing another twist towards the left. Looking over that left shoulder and finding your breathing once again. On the next inhale, bring yourself up, reaching up towards the sky, and relax those arms down. So now we will turn towards the left, just a little bit more. So you are welcome to have the front leg with the shin parallel to the top of the mat, or if it's more comfortable to have it more bent in, that is totally fine. The right leg will be perpendicular out from your hips and can be bent. So again, it doesn't have to be formal in terms of angles. Find what works for your body, and then that is what's right. So I should have also prompted to have a bolster within reach. So if you like, we are going to do a forward fold. So if you like to have a bolster in front of you, that can be extra cushiony. You could even bring it up in front of you a little bit more. So we will be balanced a little bit more on this left hip. And in essence, this is like sleeping swan. So we're going to feel that stretch on the outer side of the left hip. So you want to sit up tall and then lower yourself onto the mat or onto your bolster, whatever makes the most sense for you today. Again, you can close your eyes if that's comfortable, or just find a soft gaze in front of you, allowing yourself to focus on your breath. We're about the halfway point of this posture here. So if you'd like, you can raise yourself up just a little bit and straighten that right leg, which will shift the positioning on your left leg, and will change the angle of the stretch on that outside of your left hip. So you can see how that feels different. Or if you were just fine where we were, you can continue holding there. We always have options. And then when you're ready, slowly roll back on that left hip, allowing yourself to come back up to seated, the deer legs. And we can do a little windshield wiper or some intuitive movement to loosen up those hips after such long holds. And you might want to bring your bolster just out of your way. And we'll come back down, knees stacked onto our right side, and roll back onto our back, hugging our knees in once again. When you're ready, we'll lower those feet to the ground and gently lower your knees to one side. You can support them underneath with a block or bolster or something if they don't reach all the way to the floor. And when you're set there, we'll roll onto that right side, or yes, the right side. Taking the left arm above your head, arcing that around into a twist for the upper body. So to complete that spinal movement, you want to look over your left shoulder. And once again, finding your ease. Again, if you want that bolster under your right knee or even between your two knees, that can be helpful. Enjoying the wringing out of the nature of a twist for the spine. Allows all those little paraspinal muscles to really counteract any of the tension that they've been holding to keep you in postures for work or caregiving, any sort of activities that you're doing throughout your full days. Just about 2 more breaths here. And when you're ready, take that left arm up and around once again, rolling yourself onto your right side. Gently push yourself up. I'm going to turn myself around so I'm not facing away from you. So we'll come into that deer legs position once again. And to start, we want to bring ourselves back so that we're sitting a little bit more evenly on both of our hips, or as much as possible. We're going to take a nice inhale, lifting up, reaching up towards the sky, and this time twisting towards the right. You want to look towards that right shoulder to complete the twist again with the spine. And this is the counter twist to the left one we just had on the floor. On the next inhale, you'll bring yourself up, reaching up to the sky once again, and bringing your arms down. So now we'll turn ourselves on our mat. Again, bring in any bolster you might like for the forward fold. Setting up that front leg, either shin parallel to the top of the mat or whatever angle makes sense for you to do sort of a sleeping swan or pigeon pose sort of forward fold. The back knee can be perpendicular coming up from your hips if you like. And again, any angle that is comfortable and workable for yourself today. So we're going to sit up tall and then hinge forward onto the floor, onto our mat, or any bolster or pillow that makes sense for you today. And we're at that halfway point again. If you like to stay where you are, you're welcome to. Or if you want to lift up just a little bit in order to rotate, straighten that left leg out a bit, changing the angle on the right hip. You could make that adjustment here as well. We'll have about 4 more breaths here. Enjoy that sensation on the outer hip. I hope you've kept with your breathing on these longer holds. And recall your intention to keep your attention for just a couple more breaths. And when you're ready, slowly roll yourself onto that right hip. Maybe bringing yourself in for a little bit of windshield wipers. And you can move your bolster out of the way. So this is where your strap is actually going to come in handy. We'll roll ourselves back onto our backs on our mat. And finding just the right positioning, you want to hug your chest, knees to your chest one more time. And then lower the right foot to the mat. We'll grab that strap, place it around the arch of our left foot. So we're going to extend your leg, bringing it towards your head to whatever angle feels best for you. Again, you'll feel this along the hamstring and maybe all the way up into the glute just a bit. And no matter where you find that angle of your leg, make sure that you're breathing evenly. If you find your breath getting quicker and almost in a panicked feel, that just means that you're not in a place where you're sustaining the hold. It means your body is fighting against it just a little bit. So you'll want to back off just a little bit in that case and find the place where you still feel sensation, but don't have with the quickened breath, that you can breathe easily in that manner. If you'd like, you're welcome to straighten that right leg. That'll give even more sensation to the stretch. As well, if you're like me today, I'm finding I'm having a little shaking in the hamstring, but my breathing is fine. So I'm going to try to hold here and just keep breathing and allow this muscle, allow these tissues to realize that I am in a safe space and this hold is welcome. And now the shaking has stopped a bit. So again, if I had the shaking and my breathing was also shaky, I would definitely back off just a little bit. But sometimes it takes a moment for the tissues to catch up with, like the body to catch up with the mind in terms of knowing, this is a safe space. This is a safe movement. We're not in danger of injury. And we are doing this purposefully and with healthy intent. So always want to keep an eye both on the body and the mind's response. And we want to bring those together so that they're in communication. And when you're ready, if you want to take both straps handles in your left hand, and slowly lower your leg outwards to get that inner hip to stretch. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that both butt cheeks are on the mat still. So you want both hips down. And if you need to come back out of that extension just a little bit to make that happen, by having both hips on the mat, that is the healthiest angle to give those tissues that safety, that safe movement. We're not forcing ourselves into any awkward angles or what we think this pose should look like. So Again, always bring in as much support as you like. If the strap is not enough, you can bring in some pillows or blocks to help support the outside of your leg. And you'll definitely see differences on both sides. If you've had any interaction with certain injuries or a lot of tension buildup, you may have less flexibility some practices than others, and you'll notice that just as I'm noticing this today in mine. And again, that's why we call it a practice. We're always trying again and noticing our body, and that way we can become more intuitive in what we need each time. Slowly bring that leg back to the center and go ahead and bend your left knee, releasing the strap, and give your left knee a nice hug towards your armpit, towards the shoulder rather than the chest. So a little bit on the outside angle there. And let's enjoy a few breaths here. And then release into a position of a brief shavasana here. And since we've done just one side so far, you may feel like one leg is really longer than the other, or you might feel like your hips are a bit imbalanced, or just different sensations in your body. So again, we're always learning about ourselves and noticing how certain postures do affect our body. So now we know what relief may be coming for our right side. And so you all can stay put. Go ahead and hug your knees to your chest. I'm going to turn myself around for the sake of the camera and so that I can extend my legs a little further. So this time we'll hug our knees in and release the left foot to the floor. We'll go ahead and strap that right foot. And again, bringing that in so that you feel the sensation in the back of the hamstring, maybe all the way down into those hip connections with the glutes. And if you'd like, you can straighten that left leg, noticing the increase in intensity of the sensation. So if you need to make adjustments on your right leg, do that as well. And make sure any tension has not crept up into other areas unrelated to the stretch as well. You might find yourself clenching at your jaw sometimes when you're trying really hard, or finding tension in your feet or your opposite leg or other areas. So make sure you're breathing into your whole body as well as the area that we're focusing on in the posture. And when you're ready, gently take those straps into your right hand, allowing your leg to lower out towards the right. Again, just so far that you're keeping both hips on the mat. And bringing in any support or bolsters or blocks that you may need to help support your leg. Picture as if you have a weight sitting on your left hip and left thigh to help counterbalance the movement that we're doing on the right side. About 4 more breaths here. And slowly assist your right leg back towards the center. Go ahead and bend your knee to release the strap. And hug your right knee in towards your right shoulder. And then go ahead and release your right leg into Shavasana. And maybe take a nice deep breath in with a big open mouth sigh out. Take another, if you like, nice deep breath in. Big open mouth sigh, exhale. Let's enjoy just a couple more breaths here in Shavasana for a brief moment. And when you're ready, we'll slowly bend our knees up, feet to the floor. Roll yourself to a side and press yourself up to seated once again. So from here, we're going to be doing some work for our feet. So today's head to toe, let it go. We are going to work on our feet and toes now. So this also can be a very sensitive area to work. The tissues can be very contracted, so we want to move slowly and gently. And the more often we can do this practice, the better. So it helps give relief to our feet. So many of us are on our feet all day long or doing very active work as well. So we want to treat our feet well so that we can keep up with those activities. So a couple of options. So you are welcome to just do these movements on the mat, and I'll bring, we could have a block nearby as well as a bolster. So what we'll be doing, and we'll come to hands and knees. The essential movement is this. So you'll have your knees kind of shoulder width apart. You want to splay out your toes so that you feel all 5 toes of each foot on the mat. And then we'll slowly come back to sitting on our heels. Again, that can be very intensive for so many of us. So a starter thing, and you can play with the height of the block to see what makes most sense for you. Again, having those feet on either side of the block. And you want to make sure that the ankles always hug inward. You don't want them splaying out, even if you're not using a block. So hugging them to the block can help. And bringing yourself back, again, if you need to adjust to have the block even higher. And controlling the amount of sensation that you're feeling on the tissues, especially of the arch of the foot there. Another option is bringing a bolster or pillow in and bringing our knees up on top of them. In this way, you could have your toes splayed out and control yourself, lowering yourself back towards your heels, but it's less of a extreme angle on towards the heels. So this can be a nice relieving way to access those tissues without a lot of pain and too much intensity in the sensation. So find which one you need. Maybe play around with those positionings a little bit. And this one feels good to me today, so I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to make sure that my spine is nice and straight, and then I'm coming back towards my heels. I feel a nice amount of sensation along the arch of my foot in the tissues there. And I have all 5 toes of each foot touching the mat. And so I'm able to sit myself up here. If not, you can support yourself leaning forward. And you could even have another bolster in front of you if you needed to be down even lower on your forearms. So once we find that position, let's go ahead and find our breath. Remember your intention. Don't let your mind fight you. This is a safe space, and we're indulging ourselves and treating ourselves well. Paying attention to our whole body today in a nice lengthy practice. And as much as you can do today is the best work you could possibly do. Even when we have certain poses that aren't good for today and we have to skip them, that's just fine. Next time we can get them in, we will. We always listen to our bodies and give our bodies priority and having a say, instead of just forcing ourselves thinking we have to do a certain workout or we have to do a certain posture to look a certain way. We want to communicate to our body that we're doing these in safe conditions, but we also want to listen if the body says still no, and give it that respect. So you're doing great. We won't hold this too much longer, so just a few more even breaths in and out. Breathe all the way down to those toes. Two more breaths if you can. And slowly, 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 maybe bring yourself forward onto your knees. And allowing yourself to untuck those toes, maybe coming down off of any bolsters or props that you need, and just being at hands and knees, allowing yourself to tap out the tops of your feet. That feels so good. If you do find that your feet have cramped at all, maybe taking a palm and pressing down on either side can be a nice relief as well. Okay, take your time. And when you're ready, we're going to take our bolster behind us. And I'm actually going to build up a little ramp with mine. So you don't even need to use a bolster if you don't want. We'll be doing a reclining pose. So you could use no bolster, one bolster, or make a nice little ramp like myself here. So find how much support you need today. We're going to be sitting in front of the bolster, so our hips will be off of the bolster. If you'd like to bring a block in to support your hips, you can play around with what height makes sense for you. And we're going to be sitting in Virasana. So this can be intensive on the knees. I sometimes like to do this posture one at a time. So you could release one foot and recline back, and that will stretch the hip flexors of the left side, and then we'll do the opposite side. Or if you'd like to try both legs today, you're welcome to. So find your comfort level. Again, we want to hug those heels in towards the bolster so that our ankles aren't rolling out and putting pressure on those tissues. And then slowly recline yourself back onto your ramp or bolster, or if you like the full extension on the floor, find that comfort level. Maybe roll those shoulders back so they're laying flat onto your surface, allowing your chest to open up. And allow your arms to splay towards the side. I'll let you know at the halfway point in case you are doing one foot at a time. Again, I often find benefit of doing it that way if I feel imbalance in my hips a lot. For instance, I have scoliosis. I know many people do. And some days my hips can feel a lot more imbalanced than others. So doing both can have benefits, but also paying attention to your body one at a time can do so as well. So find what you need today. Make sure that your face is fully relaxed, all the way down to your arms and fingertips. We'll be feeling the intensive stretch along our thighs, our quads, all the way up into our hip flexors. And make sure that everything all the way down to your toes feels relaxed. Find that breath, nice and easy. So about 2 more breaths and we'll be at the halfway point. If you are rising up to switch legs, make sure that you're pressing your hands into the floor and rise up with your chest leading first, allowing your head to fall back. That will keep your neck from having too much tension, just like it may get when you're doing crunches or any kind of pulling in that manner. So press with your hands, rise up with your chest, let your head follow. Switch your legs, and then find yourself reclining back once again. About two more breaths here. Really enjoy nice full breaths. Nice release of those tissues. And when you're ready, you can place your hands on your feet or next to them. Again, rising up with the chest first, letting the head follow. Coming up to seated. Take your time. Remove any bolsters or blocks. Keep them close by if you'd like for Shavasana. You could even bring in a blanket. Find what fits you today. And then go ahead and let yourself spill back onto your mat. Nice deep breath. Big sigh, exhale. Let your body fully relax. Fully integrate all of the work we did today. Maybe you feel the buzz of circulation going through your entire body. We'll take this Shavasana in silence for each benefit. So I invite you to do a scan through your body like we did in the beginning, from head to toe, noticing anywhere still that tension has crept in that you can let go. When you're ready, start to wiggle those fingers and toes, bringing yourself back into the present, thanking yourself for showing up on the mat today, being true to your intention. Slowly bend your knees, maybe bringing them in for one more hug to your chest. Slowly rolling to one side. When you're ready, press yourself up. And let's find ourselves in a comfortable seat for a moment. I'm so glad you were able to join me today, and I hope you got a great amount of relief from taking part in such a wonderful immersion, that we got to indulge in 90 whole minutes of practice instead of always the bite-sized practices. So I know I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to have you here. Namaste.